We are not going to have a meeting tonight because the mayor has decided that we're not going to. I'd like to read this letter that the mayor wrote. We didn't know about it, of course. He doesn't have the common decency to let people know ahead of time. Well, we are happy with the recent progress being made in adopting the budget that gave the workers a 3% raise, did not raise electric rates, gave all workers a minimum hourly pay, gave sanitation workers 40 hours, paid vacation, paid medical insurance, retirement, paid holidays, and we reduced the proposed property tax hike from 66 to 64 cents. We have elected not to attend the meeting of the Scotland Neck Board of Commissioners on this day because there is a question of the residency of one of the board members. Until this matter is cleared up, we do not believe that it is fair to the majority of the people in Scotland Neck to allow decisions to be made that may cause the town greater harm. It is our hope that the board will now see how critical it is to have a survey done so we can be sure of where the town limits are. This hearing is scheduled for September the 30th, which is Thursday. After that hearing, we will decide if we should have a meeting. That's your mayor, and he really doesn't have the interest of Scotland Neck at all. He's had a personal vendetta and personal agenda. We have an opinion from our attorney, which clearly states that the town limits are where we thought the town limits were, cites all the records. The tax office has a GPS program that they can map points, which they did. Clearly, Mr. Watson is in town. There is some question about the other members of the board that are not here tonight, but we're not going there either. But this will be resolved Thursday, and we are confident, of course, that the town boundaries are where we have always said they were. This has just been nothing but a personal vendetta of the mayor. It's unfortunate that he puts that ahead of the town's interest and the citizens' interest. And I'm sorry that he feels that way. At least we got the budget passed, but in not meeting, he's cost the town over $30,000 so far, minimum. I don't know what these shenanigans are going to cost the town in legal fees, Board of Election fees, all of which we've got to pay, simply because of his personal vendetta. And I think it's unfortunate that he puts all that ahead of the town's best interest. Anybody got any comments?
Well, these letters here, are they for public record?
Yeah.
We have, now, what?
I'll read.
Copy this, read
Let
both
me
of
read
these
this.
letters from the
Yeah.
lawyer and from the county.
Yeah, the Kristen Smith sent to Kristen Smith from Doris Hawkins. Ms. Hawkins is with the Halifax County Tax Department. And Ms. Hawkins writes, as we previously, and this information was sent to Scotland Neck by Ms. Hawkins. All this was available to Nancy and to the mayor. She states, as we previously discussed, I am including a map of the Scotland Neck city limits for the Sherwood Drive area. I initially thought I would not be able to offer an opinion regarding the location of the corporate limits in that area. However, upon further review of the town's annexation documents, I'd like to offer you my opinion as the county's Geographic Information Systems Coordinator. So she's the county's Geographic Information Systems Coordinator. In my experience, I've found that corporate limits typically follow some type of natural geographic feature, a street right-of-way, or property tax boundaries. The information given to me by the town of old annexation descriptions was initially very difficult to decipher, as they often referred to general areas and for the most part did not include metes and bounds descriptions. However, I took another look at the documents and realized that the 1959 session of the General Assembly, Chapter 161, Senate Bill 108, includes very detailed metes and bounds which can be plotted using current mapping information in our tax parcels mapping system. This is indeed the area that is in question. In 1959, Chapter 161, Senate Bill 108, description refers to identifiable property owners as well as a large pine, which I believe is also referenced in 2 separate recorded surveys of the area. I also plotted those surveys to include the large or 36-inch pine in question. And this is the last paragraph. In conclusion, it is my opinion that the properties located at the northern end of Sherwood Drive are inside the town of Scotland Neck's corporate limits, and that the corporate limits follow the property lines in that area. Based on this research, I will be updating the city limits digital file I use for the county GIS to follow the property lines instead of lying slightly north of the property lines. Please let me know if you have any attachments. And she included her map that she did. Mr. Cawley, who is our town attorney, who represents the town of Scotland Neck and the best interests of the town of Scotland Neck, reviewed her information along with all the other documents that he had. And his letter was to Mayor James Mills and Nancy Jackson, Town Administrator. Dear Mayor and Nancy, I have reviewed and, based on the information available to me, agree with the opinion set forth in the enclosed memo from the Halifax County Tax Department that the above referenced property was included within the area annexed into the town by the 1959 Session Law, Chapter 161, Senate Bill 108. The Session Law was ratified March 27, 1959. As it appears that this issue should now be resolved, we have stopped working on this matter and will await your instructions as to anything further needed from our office. Please let us know if you have any questions or any additional review is required. So we've got really good study and documentation from Halifax with the state paperwork to back it up, and then our town attorney has sent this in. I don't understand why we wouldn't be here conducting business tonight. I don't understand it. I can tell you that there was about, to the best that I could see, in the area that was being noted as out of town, that was ratified in, I think there was about 9 to 10 houses in that area. The best that I could figure, those 9 to 10 houses going back on a 5-year refund would have been about $100,000 roughly that Scotland Neck would have had to refund to these 10 residents. Then there would have been a $20,000 a year drop in income in future years, which is where I'm getting $100,000 from. And this is vehicles. This is property tax on the vehicles and the houses and everything, all their property tax. So what appears to be in the disinterest of Scotland Neck, I mean, we would not want to lose these residents. These are important contributors to our town. They're people who are positive folks that have been here a long time, and they pay a lot of tax money that we need to keep the town going. Why would we not want to keep these people in our town, first of all? I think everybody will have to draw your own conclusions to that, and I'm not going to try to suggest anything otherwise, but it really bothers me that this has been a continued issue that does not seem to have an end. And it's frustrating to me that we've got so many people that can't seem to separate us trying to just make good decisions that we see as right or wrong or good or bad for Scotland Neck. And we can disagree. We will not always all view things the same way, but when we don't, it is not black and white. This is my 10th year on this board, and I promise you, I have never made a decision about anything to do with black or white. And it has been an upsetting, demoralizing, difficult thing for all of us for that to consistently be brought back up as reasons for our decisions. I think it's the furthest from the truth. I think the record of our board over the last 10 years would indicate that. I don't think there's any records in our decision makings that would indicate anything other than us doing what we think is best for the town. The positive thing to me is you don't always have to agree. We will not always all agree. That's